And hello to you joining us at YouTube Land and Facebook. We're happy to have you. We will be getting started in just a moment with our Sunday morning service. But before we do, we have a special announcement from our beloved Roberta Scott. Roberta, would you please come up?
Good morning. I wanted to let you know that Unity of Stuart is having a circulation day on February 17th and 18th. So what's in your closet? Do you want to donate? We have clothes, books, toys, anything like that. Everything will be free. February 17th, we're looking to only have people that are in need, homeless people, people that don't have a lot, so they can come in, and then the next day, February 18th, it will be open to the public. So if you would like to donate, next Sunday is the first day we will be accepting that, and I'll let you know more. The other thing is next week at Temple Bet Hayam, they are having anti-Semitism today. It's just a conversation about all those who are tired of all the hate. We know hate comes from fear. So even if you can't be there, hold a space of love for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. That sure is a nice mic. Could do a lot of things with that mic. So good morning, everybody. Welcome. Really happy to be here. Happy to explore these ideas and these teachings with you, and to uncover this hidden gem that we are as these divine beings coming into full awakening. I mean, this is the aim of our teaching and our service here on Sunday mornings is really to point back at you and to have you look at the nature of your own mind and to realize that that nature is what everyone is seeking for outside of themselves. That when we begin to come home to our own mind and find rest in the nature of our mind, we realize that we've had what we've been seeking for the whole time. The love, the peace, the power, the joy, the fulfillment is actually what is our deepest nature. And our deepest nature is covered up or obscured by the impulses that come from believing we're separated from our deepest nature. And we've built a whole world based on that belief. And that's the world of the ego, the world of the separate self. And so as we often explore in the teachings, the core of the authentic spiritual path seems to be always coming back to the recognition that you're not the self that you think you are, and the one that is doing all of the seeking needs to turn around. It's going the wrong way. And this discovery of what's really underneath all of the obscure beliefs that we have about ourselves, about the world, begins to really take its course, and we begin to actually wake up, and that's really the essence of the path. We begin to wake up in the present moment, and we begin to see things as they truly are, not the way that we were obscuring them when we are under the hallucination or the intoxication of being a separate self. And that's what we're going to explore more closely today. And that is that when we look at the real treasure of the spiritual path and the aim of trying to awaken to it, we oftentimes are still, and I'm speaking to myself only really, we're often under the influence of that separate self. Even when we're trying to awaken, even when we're trying to discover the real meaning of life, it's still set within the context of the belief system of being a separate self and not questioning that starting point. And so as we're going to look today in the teachings of Mahayana Buddhism and A Course in Miracles, we're going to see how it's really a call, this awakening is a call for each of us to reconsider the self that we're cherishing. We've touched on this in other services a while back, and what we were looking at there we're going to bring into more full focus today, and that is when we are so identified as the separate self, it's really the separate self that we cherish above all else. And so this self-cherishing is really the foundation of all of our struggle and our suffering and our dissatisfaction. And it's so counterintuitive to how we think when we are, just in this ordinary way of believing and operating in the world, that it's by me trying to get my needs met through other people that causes me to suffer. It's really a bizarre thing, but when you start to really turn your attention onto what's happening and you begin to really examine yourself, you'll realize this has been going on all along. That I've been trying to get my needs met out there through other things and other people. And by doing just that, I've been causing more and more suffering. So at the real core of the matter then is self-cherishing. My needs come first, kind of a way of living, is the recipe for struggle and suffering and dissatisfaction. So we're going to see the alternative would have to be cherishing others. So the only alternative would be to cherish others the way that you actually cherish your own needs. And this begins to turn the tables on being the separate self or the ego. And it opens you up to a wider world where you can begin to start to see things as they are. And I brought along a couple of Buddhist texts. One of them is really the foundation of all of this teaching. It's The Way of the Bodhisattva by Shantideva. Maybe some of you are familiar with this. One of the ways that we can start our conversation is by going into a little bit of what Shantideva says. And listen to this. This is taken from the text itself. Those desiring speedily to be a refuge for themselves and others should make the interchange of I and other, and thus embrace a sacred mystery. So the sacred mystery of achieving or awakening to the supreme reality would be no longer to give reality to the separate I, but rather give reality to what is you're seeing in the other, loving the other, right? This is how you'll know, this is how the world will know that you are my disciples, the love that you have for one another. I don't love this microphone too much, but I love you. But it has to actually go into everything, so I have to love this microphone. This microphone is teaching me something. Patience, of course. So this is the sacred mystery, is the unveiling of how we are then to become more focused on wanting the needs of others to be met, wanting them to be happy, wanting them to be at peace, wanting them to be safe. And what's the paradox here is that's how all of our needs will be met. That's how we'll find satisfaction. It's back to that image that we bring up often here. The Buddhist version of hell is the banquet table, and people are sitting on either side of the banquet table, and everybody at the table has 3-foot-long chopsticks, and there's a wide array of food, abundance of food, and everybody there is starving and miserable because they're trying to use their 3-foot-long chopsticks to feed themselves, and they can't get enough in to satisfy them. The Buddhist view of heaven is the same banquet table, people on either side, 3-foot-long chopsticks, but everybody's feeding one another, putting their needs before their own. And as a result, there's chopsticks coming at you in abundance. So all you have to do is open your mouth and eat. It's coming right at you. It's there for you. When you begin to show up in that giving, altruistic, compassionate, loving way, it will reflect in your world. One of the things that Lisa and I talked about on the way up here this morning, she was speaking about, the nature of how, we're manifesting our own reality. And I won't do it justice, so I won't even attempt to repeat the beautiful things that she was saying. But what I heard myself say, because I'm more focused on me than her. Is that we live in the landscape of our beliefs. Like our environment, our landscape is really just our beliefs. So that the people who are showing up, the events that are happening, the way our bodies feel, the way we look, our energy level, all of this is reflecting our beliefs. So I must have done something horrible in my life to have this microphone be the way it is. Okay. So we are living in the landscape of our belief, and so heaven and hell look identical. You don't have to go anywhere to be in hell, and you don't have to go anywhere to be in heaven. It's right here, right now. Are you satisfied? Are you fulfilled? Do you have loving people in your life? Is love flooding you? Well, that's all determined by what you're giving to the world. How you're showing up in other people's lives, how you think of other people, is going to be informed somewhere, somehow in your life, materialized. So this is how we literally generate our heaven and we generate our hell by the way we show up. And so, we have a default setting, and again, Shantideva says this in the beginning of his profound teaching. And this was something that occurred to me apart from what he had said, that when I'm going to speak about anything that I'm saying to you this morning, this is just for me. I'm speaking about myself. And if this helps you, great. And if it makes some kind of impact for you, great. But when I look at myself and I try to compare what I do and who I am to these teachings of genuine altruism and compassion and loving kindness, it's a joke a lot of the times. Like even just now, like being up at 4 o'clock and immersing myself in all of these teachings and attuning to the presence and getting ready to share with you this morning. And then I get in my car and I pull out and I'm at the red light and I usually could just go right onto the main road and this car's coming and I'm like, And it's like right there it is. There it is. That car shouldn't be there and that person's annoying. But, I had to immediately see it, take myself back, and realize this is how it's done. You have to see what's in the way first. You have to see how we are predisposed to find fault, to criticize, to get peeved and pissed off when things aren't going the way the little self wants them to go. Because above all else, I cherish me. I have to go to church now. Everything should stop. There shouldn't be any obstacles when I'm ready to turn onto my road. It's my road. So this is how we're all living, which means we're all sitting at that banquet table trying to feed ourselves. And that's why we're not as joyous as we could be. So it's a real paradigm shift. And you don't go anywhere. It's done in here. It's done with this choice to see that the sacred mystery is no longer to serve yourself in your own ends, but to cherish others and really, really genuinely want them to be happy, want them to be fulfilled. Don't think an ill thought about anyone. Like this is the practice. And you'll find that when you do that, you feel better. Because remember, as I had said, I'm only talking to myself here. The truth of the matter is there is no one else. I'm like in a house of mirrors. And so whatever I'm thinking about somebody else as the image that I'm making in them or the name that I'm giving them, it's really a part of my own mind. It's part of myself. That's, it gets back to those 2 core commandments, that young ruler came to Jesus and said, how do you get into immortal life? And he's like, love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And then the second one is like the first, love your neighbor as yourself. And these are the two greatest commandments that will literally open the gate into the kingdom of eternity within the consciousness. And that means then the ultimate reality is to be yielded to, right? You surrender to it. You take refuge in the ultimate reality, that there is a divine source to everything and everyone, and it is a loving source. And then that love gets translated and expressed by recognizing that this loving source that is eternal created only one being, and we are that being. And so coming back to sanity is to love your neighbor as yourself, to cherish the others because they are yourself, and to start doing that even if you don't do it like in material ways where you give your products and your services or whatever it is that you might want to give away materially, that's one form of it. You can do that. But I think the core where we can really begin and where it really matters, because behavior follows belief, you start in your mind. You start here and now, recognizing where are you holding people in your, distaste and criticism, etc. Stop. Recognize the sacred mystery. It's the exchange now, where you start cherishing others rather than yourself. And this is, a little comment to that quote from Shantideva. This exchange, possible to the extent that the duality of self and other has been transcended, is the peak of bodhisattva practice. Bodhisattva is that name of the enlightening being, those who are on the path to awakening, right? So bodhisattva practice, the peak of it is to exchange self and others, self with others rather, and takes us, this exchange, takes us to the heart of Buddhist wisdom. This is the point from which all the teachings of the way of the Bodhisattva derive their sense and where they find their completion. Everything is condensed into a single stanza, which Shantideva proclaims with the finality of a cosmic principle. So here's the very core of it all, according to Shantideva. All the joy the world contains has come through wishing happiness for others. All the misery the world contains has come through wanting pleasure for oneself. Cosmic principle, the banquet table, the 3-foot-long chopsticks. Your reality is being generated, heaven or hell, by whom you serve. Who are you serving? Your fabricated self cherishing, or the living beings that are here as yourself appearing in different forms? Lots to play with this morning. We'll go back to the Mahayana teachings of Buddhism in a moment. But there's some real nuggets from the Course, I think, that will add nice spice to the soup we're making this morning. He says this: nothing is so alien to you as the simple truth, right? All the joy in the universe comes through cherishing others. All the misery in the universe comes from cherishing yourself, right? Simple. Nothing is so alien to you as the simple truth. And now listen to this. And nothing are you less inclined to listen to. Right? Are you inclined to know that you shouldn't be cherishing yourself because it's actually bringing you misery? There's going to be a million reasons why you're going to weather the storm in here this morning, leave, get in your car, and just start cherishing yourself like it's, your job. Just got to go back to cherishing myself. That's what I learned this morning. Thanks, John. So this cherishing of the self, we talked about it last week when we looked at narcissism. Remember narcissism? We looked at the narcissistic personality disorder and how isolated and lonely and fearful and full of self-hatred the narcissist is. And we said that that's pretty much a cosmic principle as well. It's a reality that's really kind of, we could say, infected all living things. Like when Lisa and I go to the park and we're feeding the ducks and everybody's having fun and Mr. Squirrel comes down from the tree and he's eating his peanuts. But then everybody's jockeying for their food. And there are some that are so aggressive that they're chasing everybody away to get their food. There's plenty. We're actually feeding some of the Muscovy ducks and there's so much seed on the ground, but because we're giving some over here, they have to go over there and take that. It's self-cherishing. It's involved in every level of being. This narcissism, as we had read from some of the good teachings of Adida, basically said that even ourselves, every level of consciousness is involved in this narcissistic reality until we wake up. That's why it's easy, it's natural, it seems, to self-cherish. What's in it for me? What do I get? When am I going to get my due? Why aren't you giving me what I want? Right? This goes on at every level. So on that note of the narcissist, this is really, if you pull back the veils and, as you start to really look at the core of this self that we are trying to serve and be devoted to above everything else. Nothing is more important than me at the end of the day. I might say that you're more important because I want to feel good about me. I want to know that I'm on the spiritual path. I'm doing spiritual things. So yeah, you're more important, but you're still an extra in my movie. It's me. I'm getting enlightened because I like you. I'm getting enlightened because I serve you. It's me still, underneath it all. Right? And this is not to feel bad about the me. The me is actually to be looked at and examined. You're going to find that it was never you in the first place. That's going to be the great relief. It's like, we say this on Monday nights a lot of the times. It's like a parasite, and the parasite has you believing that it's you, but it's not you. It's a belief about yourself. Right? Does that comfort you? So here we go. Jesus talking about the narcissist. Now this definitely will, open you up to bliss. Just listen. You communicate with no one, and you are as isolated from reality as if you were all alone in the universe. In your madness, you overlook reality completely and see only your split mind everywhere you look. God calls you and you do not hear, for you are preoccupied with your own voice. And the vision of Christ is not in your sight, for you look upon yourself alone, your own image, your own voice, like Narcissus, just totally enamored, totally devoted. Me, mine, I. That's what matters. That's the center of it all. I cherish this. That's why it's the center. I cherish it. I don't want anything more than my needs being met. This is how we're all on a default setting. Ducks and squirrels and gallinols and ants and bees and everybody else. Maybe not bees. Bees are very altruistic. But most beings are set on this default. So it's not to induce guilt, it's to induce introspection, deep introspection, and to realize how we are unconsciously generating our own misery because of it. Remember, I'm only talking to myself. I probably need this lesson more than anybody else. Really. Don't shake your head, yes? You don't know me. That's why it's something that we're not inclined to hear. We don't want to hear this. We want to hear, we're the chosen, or we're in love, on the path of love. Everything's beautiful. And it is. We're sitting at the banquet table. We haven't left the banquet. It's abundance. We have our chopsticks, everything we need. But we're not satisfied at this table right now because we really think we're needing to serve me first. And to hell with those that are not in my clique or my family or my circle or my group. To hell with them. So this is the great mystery, that when we exchange this, we come to find the joy at the table. And all of our needs will be met. Magically, miraculously, try it on. Begin to think only loving thoughts about everyone who comes up in your mind. Really, without inauthenticity, but genuinely want them to be blessed, to be happy, to be healed, to be safe, to be comforted. Like, really want that. Even if you don't buy what they're doing, like, oh, they're just drama makers. They're just, so lost. Like, they're so frustrating how they live their life. Like, stop that voice. That voice is what's blocking you from hearing God. It's still you trying to get your, and they're pissing you off because they're not giving you what you want. Like, when you really start looking at it, the reason why I'm really upset about this person is because they're not doing what I think they should. I'm the one who knows how to direct their life. And they're not doing what this precious self that I cherish so much believes they should be doing. And it's causing me pain. Not because they're not doing what I think they should be doing. What's causing me pain is my own self-cherishing and thinking that I can dictate what they should be doing in the first place. So keep that in mind. Everything that I'm saying, first of all, I'm saying to myself, and if it's helpful for you, great. Secondly, nothing is so alien to us as this simple truth, and nothing are we less inclined to listen to. Here's another nugget. Every interpretation you would lay upon a brother, that means any other person. And then remember what the Course is doing is it's using this general term brother to show that your brother really is yourself. Your brother is one who is deserving of that cherishing and that love and that appreciation. No matter what they're doing, they're your brother. Every interpretation you would lay upon a brother is senseless. So, free yourself from trying to dictate how other people should be living their life, how they should be living, how they should be acting, what they should be doing or not doing. All that self-talk that you have about them, senseless, blocking you from the voice of God. Let the Holy Spirit show him to you. So when you get out of your own way, you stop listening to that chatter of the self-cherishing narcissist, you begin to quiet your mind. And in that quiet, receptive, open self, you can hear and feel and see your brother differently in this place of cherishing and appreciation. So that's letting the Holy Spirit show him to you. And in this showing that the Holy Spirit will do for you with your brother, he will also teach you both your brother's love and his need for love. So that's important to get. There are loving acts and thoughts and words that are coming from our brothers. Sometimes we're not even seeing them or appreciating them. We're overlooking them because not enough, not right. I already have this a grievance with you, so I can't even hear the good or see the good that's coming from you. Just not there. So there's a lot of love oftentimes coming from our brother that we can't see. But it's also important to get, he's saying, that the Holy Spirit is also going to show you your brother's need for love, which means it can be showing up in thought, speech, and action that can be self-destructive, other-destructive, dysfunctional, maladaptive, weird, right? All of these behaviors or thoughts or words that you're seeing from your brother that just are off, he's saying that's a need for love. That's all it is. These are the only ways the Holy Spirit perceives the other. They're either showing up expressing love or they're showing up needing love. And so then he says, neither his mind nor yours holds but these two orders of thought. That's beautiful. Neither your mind nor your brother's mind can think in any other way other than showing love or showing that you need love. These are the only two orders of thought, which is back to the banquet table. You're either feeding somebody with your chopsticks, which is an act of love, or you're confused about your real nature and you need somebody to love you because you're trying to do it for yourself alone. So loving or needing love, we can't think other than that. So you can get out of the confusion. And then he says, the miracle is the recognition that this is true. Right? When the light goes on, you actually see this is true. Where there is love, your brother must give it to you because of what love is. Right? It naturally just comes from your brother and you feel it. Now listen to this one, though. This is where we trip up a lot of the time. But where there is need for love, right, when you see your brother is in need of love, and it could be behaviors or words that really irk you, when you get out of your story of self-cherishing and what they need to be doing and change in their life, when you stop that and start to listen for the voice of God, you'll realize that your brother is really just giving you an opportunity to give love where it's needed. Now, this is, if it's in a place where there's no self-harm being done, and we should say it this way, where they are not attempting to harm another, where there's no violence being done to another. It depends on how love is going to show up in certain settings. So I'm kind of hesitating here because I want to get the point out to clearly say that if somebody is hurting another person or hurting you physically, psychologically, emotionally, that's your love is going to meet that need in an appropriate way. So it doesn't mean that because you're learning that, forgiveness is just acceptance and appreciation. I so appreciate the abuse you're giving me. It's very kind. I can see the real you and how you torture me and make me feel like somebody who's unworthy of love. No, actually, you stop that. Your love creates a healthy boundary that doesn't allow that to continue because, as Lisa likes to point out, you won't allow them to hurt themselves using you to do it. It's actually a loving act to stop someone's destructive behavior and have them not do it to you anymore, right? So that's an act of love. That's why in the Buddhist teachings, compassion can take a fierce form. Compassion can be fierce to keep the boundaries of holiness or dharma safe, right? You don't allow people to violate those loving boundaries. Not tolerate it. Still love. Still compassion. So then he goes on, he says, then this is why you're giving love, because of who you are. So you meet your brother's need with love, cherishing his need over your own. Long ago, we said this course will teach you what you are, restoring to you your identity. And we have already learned that this identity is shared. Right? Love your neighbor as yourself, because your neighbor is yourself. It's a shared identity. We're all at the table because we all share the same identity. That's why to feed another is to feed yourself. The miracle becomes the means of sharing. By supplying your identity wherever it is not recognized, but where it is, you will recognize it. So the brother that needs love, right, is actually your opportunity to show yourself that you have the love to give your brother that needs it. If you have the love to give your brother, then that means that you are the source. You're sourcing love. What does that make you, or who does that make you? It makes you reconnected to your true identity. If you're sourcing love, you must be at that place of true identity to give love that way. If you're denying your brother the love he needs, you're literally saying, I'm in hell, man, and I don't have what you need. I need it myself, and I'm trying to get it. So get out of my way, because you can't give it to me. I got to go to somebody else. That's how hell perpetuates. So then he says this. No one can be unjust to you unless you have decided first to be unjust. Right? So whatever's showing up in your world, you've decided that that's your choice to do to others. And as soon as you make that a choice to do to others, it's going to show up for you. It's the golden rule in reverse. You're going to try to, get for yourself by using others, and then others are going to come along to use you. You're going to be used. Or you're going to be betrayed if you think by betraying you get what you want. Or you see, it's always in reciprocation to what we decide first. So if we have injustice showing up in our world, we must have first decided to be unjust ourselves. It's the only way injustice could reach us. It's simply our thought forms coming back to roost. That's all it ever is. Right? The same goes for the blessing. That's why by cherishing others, think about what you're asking to come back to you. Blessing all the time. Kindness paid you all the time. Forgiveness given you all the time. Abundance and safety, whatever you're wishing for your brothers, must be returned to you. What you're withholding from your brothers must be withheld from you. It's just the cosmic principle. Can't argue with it. It's showing up regardless of your belief in it, right? So no one can be unjust to you unless you have decided first to be unjust. And then must problems rise to block your way, and peace be scattered by the winds of hate. So remember, as I was saying, we live in the landscape of our beliefs and decisions. So when we're unjust to others, we deny them the love that they need. Obstacles will arise to block us from what we need. It's like a video game. It's like it will manifest. We're living in a very magical feedback system, and it's powered by thought and will and intention and imagination. What you withhold from a brother gets put into the imaginarium, and you're going to be obscured, blocked by what you're withholding from your brother. That's why we're saying if you only bless and you cherish others more than you cherish yourself, it's paradise. This is the secret mystery. And it's the thing that we are least inclined to listen to. Is it 9 o'clock yet? Because I got to get back to cherishing myself. Unless you think that all your brothers have an equal right to miracles with you, you will not claim your right to them, because you were unjust to one with equal rights. Now listen to this, zinger. Seek to deny, and you will feel denied. If you deny your brother the love he needs, you will feel denied the love you need. Is this connecting to anybody? Here's another. Seek to deprive, and you have been deprived. So if you're feeling deprivation or need or lack in your life, give. On some level, thought, speech, or action, give. Bless. Cherish somebody. Do it right now in your mind. Somebody that you've been withholding love from. Person comes up right away, I'm sure. Who's on the SHIT list? There it is. There they are. There you are. That's how you're feeling the need in your life. That's how you're feeling deprived in your life, by your thoughts and feelings about that person. They're you. You're withholding love from you. And remember, we're not inclined to listen to this teaching because there's a part of our mind that is really intoxicated with being Narcissus. So if we start taking our focus off of the self-image that we adore so much, and we start to look here, there's going to be a conflict for a little while because we've been on a default setting to be lovers and cherishers of our separate self. And that can, go on for a little while, back and forth. That's why the people who are showing up in your life are fine-tuned to break you from that habit. They're perfectly suited to put an end to Narcissus if you allow it, if you're inclined to listen. So here's another book, a commentary on Langri Tongpa's 8 Steps to Happiness. It's, again, one of these mind training manuals within Tibetan Buddhism, very much akin to what you see in Shantideva, in the Way of the Bodhisattva. And so he's saying here, this is Geshe Kelsang Gyatso, who recently passed away. He's saying that we don't need to abandon our family, friends, or enjoyments and retire to a mountain cave to get on the path of awakening. All we need to do is change the object of our cherishing. Until now, we have cherished ourselves above all others. And for as long as we continue to do this, our suffering will never end. How simple. And remember, I'm least inclined to listen to this. Come on, I'm special, man. I got to wake up because I'm special. I'm going to help so many people when I wake up. I've been called by God. God cherishes me. How can I not cherish me? However, if we learn to cherish all beings more than ourselves, we shall soon enjoy the bliss of true awakening. The path to enlightenment is really very simple. All we need to do is stop cherishing ourselves and learn to cherish others. All other spiritual realizations will naturally follow from this. Is this simple message getting across to you this morning? So here's a couple of things to consider as far as the benefits of cherishing others, right? So the Dalai Lama had said a number of years ago, like the Bodhisattva, what we're looking at today, the Bodhisattva, this is the way of the Bodhisattva, to cherish others more than they cherish themselves, right? And the Dalai Lama, in commenting on the way of the Bodhisattva, said that truly this path of cherishing others more than cherishing yourself is the ultimate selfishness. Because what you're really doing is you're figuring out the formula how to get abundant happiness, fulfillment, and joy for yourself. So you're going to get what you want. It's just the way that you were trying to get it was causing you not to have it. Once you realize I can get what I want by serving others, loving others, cherishing others more than myself, all of the blessings can come to me. Well, no brainer then. I want happiness. I want abundant fulfillment. So that's what I'll do then. That's why he says the way of the Bodhisattva is the ultimate selfishness. You figure it out. What's in it for me? You get everything you want. Cherishing others is the best method to solve our own and others' problems. Problems, worry, pain, and unhappiness are types of mind, right? They're states of mind. Problem, worry, pain, unhappiness, they can only exist as mental states. If we cherish everyone we meet or think about, there will be no basis for developing jealousy, anger, or other harmful thoughts, and our mind will be at peace all the time. Jealousy, for example, is a state of mind that cannot bear another's good fortune. But if we cherish someone, how can his or her good fortune disturb our mind? How can we wish to harm others if we regard everyone's happiness to be of paramount importance? By genuinely cherishing all living beings, we shall always act with loving kindness in a friendly and considerate way, and they will return our kindness. That chopstick's going to come for you. Others will not act unpleasantly toward us, and there will be no basis for conflict or disputes. People will come to like us. How about that one? Again, speaking to myself. You'll actually be liked. And our relationships will be more stable and satisfying. You know, have you ever tried this experiment? I've done this a number of times and then I forget to do it. But immersing yourself in these types of teachings and then go out and, go to the grocery store and just keep in this cherishing others meditation. Watch what happens. Like everybody that you look at, they're your child or your brother or your friend, and you just will the best for them. You want to bless them. You want to see them as the Buddha or the Christ or whoever you love. Like you just love them. Watch what happens. Everybody feels this because despite the physical senses, we're all woven telepathically in this fluid reality that's just behind the veil of the five senses. And as soon as you shift your intention and focus, you change the frequency, the color, the sound of this fluid interconnectivity. And people immediately, instinctually feel that. So when I go to Publix, as an example, in this place of really cultivating, cherishing others, it's just like people smile and you could feel that they're really kind of drawn towards you, and like it's the opposite of what I usually experience. A little hard on myself for dramatic appeal. But anyway, that's the truth. People immediately change. They're grateful, even if they can't think why. They're kind back. They're loving back. And then try this with your closest relationships. Like stop repeating the same dysfunctional dialogue or demands that you might be putting on people. Like stop it. And then love them unconditionally. Cherish them and their needs. And watch. It's going to be like, thank you. Thank you. And what oftentimes happens, like for instance, just as an example, like sometimes if you're dealing with somebody, and again, this is totally hypothetical, it may or may not be the case, but as an example, you deal with somebody who might be struggling with addiction or self-abuse or something like that, and you really genuinely, from this core, radiate love and acceptance and joy and peace for them and want them to be healed and blessed. Watch. Oftentimes they'll open up to that for themselves, and just like we were saying, your beliefs are your landscape. You know what, Mom? You know what, Dad? You know what, brother? I was actually thinking about going into rehab now. I'm feeling different about myself. Something. You're going to see this in a myriad of ways showing up, because this is what miracles do for others. They give them access to their own divine ground. And what you've been withholding from them, they need, and you can give it. And by giving it, you'll get it in spades. Remember, it's the most selfish choice you could make. Don't hold anybody against their past. Don't imprison them with their past sins or mistakes. Set them free in your mind. See them new. See them different. Don't look at them as the labels that you've invented for them. And no one is too advanced to do this. Just a couple of more thoughts, and then we're going to go with the blue bag. So, what is self-cherishing? Of all the innumerable conceptual thoughts that arise from the ocean of our root mind, the most harmful thought is self-cherishing. And the most beneficial is the mind of cherishing others. What exactly is self-cherishing? Self-cherishing is defined as a mind that considers oneself to be supremely important and precious, and that develops from the appearance of true existence of the self, right? You're cherishing a self that truly exists. It's me. You can't doubt me. This is where it gets interesting. The delusion of self-cherishing is functioning in our mind almost all the time and is at the very core of our samsaric experience, our wandering in time and the birth cycle of suffering and death. Right? It's the very core of what has us wandering. I'm finishing here. Self-cherishing is a wrong awareness because its observed object, the inherently existent self or I, doesn't exist. It's a phantom. It's a hallucination. Sometimes when we talk about this, I'm sorry, again, I'm talking to myself, but when you start to get free of the self-imprisoning idea that you actually exist as a separate self, there's only joy. Like, thank God, that wasn't me. But as you hear it through the filter of your self-cherishing story, it's the least thing you're inclined to listen to, because Narcissus is what matters most. And if Narcissus is being told he doesn't exist, that doesn't bring joy. It brings consternation, distraction, avoidance, anger. But here's the truth of the matter. Examine this I deeply, authentically, and you'll see there's no I there. It was smoke and mirrors. It was story. It was conditions that no longer exist. Beliefs and images that have no substance. Language with no root. Finishing up. If we watch our mind when self-cherishing is manifesting strongly, such as when we are afraid, embarrassed, or indignant, we shall notice that we have a very vivid sense of I. Due to self-grasping ignorance, our I appears to us as a solid, real entity existing from its own side, independently of our body or mind. This independent I is called the inherently existent I, and it does not exist at all. The eye that we grasp at so strongly, cherish so dearly, and devote our whole life to serving and protecting is merely a fabrication of our ignorance. If we reflect deeply on this point, we shall realize how ridiculous it is to cherish something that doesn't exist. An explanation, okay, so again, how ridiculous when we really start to see it, to cherish something that doesn't exist. Your money exists, and the church and I would be very grateful if you gave that to the blue bag when it goes around. Any thoughts? You get to use the mic.
I watched on Netflix the other day, and it was The Secret Life of Pets.
Uh-huh.
So it was really pretty cool to see kind of the workings of pets, and then I can't believe the study there is on the secret life of pets. But they had these two parrots that they put into a box, and there was a hole that they could get food out of. But they had to give a washer. They learned to give a washer for the food. Then what they did is they closed off the hole to one parrot. So he had the washer, but he couldn't get the food. But there was a hole in between these two boxes where these two parrots were. They were side by side, but there was a hole. And he gave the washer to the other parrot so the other parrot could get the food.
Ah,
And he didn't get any reward for that.
very
So
nice.
that was, he did it for the benefit of the other. And that was two parrots that
Yeah.
and their relationship was tight.
Ah, that's beautiful.
And that they knew that the other person had their back.
Yeah. All beings have Buddha nature.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful.
It was incredible.
Nice story. And we're going to bless the offering. If you're joining us on Facebook or YouTube, click the link below. You can donate to the church. We love you and thank you for that. And we bless the offering. May it be charged with the empowerment to be focused on serving and benefiting others so that all may come to the table and be filled. And so it is. Amen.
It was nice to see you having your hands today.
Yes, it felt good. All right, my friends, let's seal the deal. Remember, all of this is done this moment. Every moment is the choice between heaven and hell, between fulfillment and suffering. Let us remember this and be inclined to hear the guidance that brings us to the truth that the light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. Amen. Love you guys. Thank you so much. Blessings to you. Join us tomorrow night, Monday, 7:15 p.m., of course, in Miracles in the Classroom. Thank you, Lorraine.
Check, 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 check. Toast. Check. Check.
do